take it by eminent domain.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, February 26th of the Wareham Finance Committee. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
My far right, Glenn Lawrence, Jody Smith, myself, Jerry Stefanski, Chair, Ernie Pigeon, Vice Chair, David Hurd, Tom Worthy.
We have a quorum. And first thing on the agenda, approve the minutes of February 5th. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
So motion's made and seconded. Any questions or corrections? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
One abstain.
One abstention. 5-1. Okay, next item on our agenda, we'll go into the warrant articles. Now, we're combining any special town meeting articles that we have or in our hand, whether or not they're gonna remain, because the warrant for the special doesn't close till March 12th, I believe. So, but we're going to take the opportunity, since there are the petitioners from the annual, which has closed, so we're gonna continue everything, and they can determine what they wanna do later on. The first article we have is the Harbor Services with our harbor master. How are you this evening, Gary?
Good, yourself. Sorry if I pushed this up.
Please join us.
Did you guys get copies of what was brought before? Okay, great. I just brought some just in case. I have one is for the special. I'd like to just go over first because it's smaller. That's a larger, smaller of the two. This is just things that we have to cover. One of them is vessel dockage, and that's only for one patrol boat that we have to leave at the marina here. We just don't have a public facility on this side, so. And we did look out for the last few years. Our dockage was covered through when Zeco Marine did their expansion for their floating docks down here, because previous owners, there were wetlands issues, and instead of fines, they usually offer the person that would receive the fines an option to contribute to the town, and that's how we ended up with free dockage for some time. So we haven't been paying this for quite a few years, but that novelty's run out, so now we have to step back up to the plate. So
That's for the 15,584?
the 15,584 is actually 3 items combined.
Indeed, but that is.
The second one says onset float dock project bond anticipated note. This was actually paid for through the treasurer's office, so we're reimbursing the treasurer's office for it. So that's when we did the borrowing this winter. This came out of John's budget, so this gets moved back to his budget to cover this expense. Third is a workboat that we have. We have a high hours, high abused engine that we utilize. We have to replace it. We're at the point now where the motor is literally going to fall off the back of the boat. So we've used it to death. We push our barge with it. That boat runs for everything, for our small stuff. And it hits bottom, it gets dinged up. I mean, we go through a couple props a year with it. So we got 10 years out of the motor. It's earned its keep, so we are going to need to replace it. We're going to be going with a different output type engine. It's more of a commercial grade, so it's got lower RPMs, turns a bigger wheel, because we do a lot of pushing with that boat. So, and those are the 3 items for my special request.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes,
For my information on a dockage, does that go by length of boat?
that does go by length of boat.
And-
That's for a 25-foot boat.
20,
So
and is that for 12 or?
that's
how many?
for, yeah, that'll be just for this year. And then next year I'll have to go after it
Okay,
again.
so
Yeah.
this will now be the first year, but it'll be recurring?
Every year it'll reoccur now, correct.
And
Unless we ever get a facility, I can,
I was put in for one.
Leave the boat at.
if I can find a location, I would, trust me.
On the anticipation note of 3784, because the question is, because I noticed you also have it on the other one, are those 2 amounts, principal and interest, or how does that, or?
Well, this was all, this information was given to me by John Foster. So
Okay.
John's been doing the borrowing,
Yeah.
and I'm doing the paying.
So that's for
So-
the pier, or
This is
the
correct,
dock,
yes,
the docks
this,
that have the big.
the gigantic
flagpoles.
piles.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So this is the part of the interest. And I had to break it up in two because you'll see the same situation showing up on my other article, but that's for the next payment that comes into it. So we borrowed $375,000 for those piers with all of the work.
Yeah.
We put $120,000 already towards it, so we're only borrowing $255,000. So we're already down pretty far, which is nice. So I think we're going to be borrowing for 5 years now. It'll range between $55,000 to $60,000 a year.
So he probably took out a bond or something for $255,000.
Correct,
And
yes.
that's what this represents.
We were looking at a couple other finance options, and his options were much friendlier on the interest rates, so that worked out well.
Thank you.
So that's the same thing for the one that you'll see on my main article for the town meeting warrant. And the only thing that I did have is the lease payments. I usually pull them at fall town meeting, but because the accountant's gotten a little bit busier, that time frame that she has from the end of fall town meeting to when the note's due in December 1st isn't enough time for her to set up the account. So you won't see this on the fall town meeting. So we're gonna pull this. This is the second to last payment, and then we have one more next spring, and then we're done with all payments on the lease.
At least, okay.
Excellent.
So, but that'll put us up to date with everything. I mean, I think the only thing that we're gonna bang out the docks for the next couple of years, get that done. We're gonna look at a couple other sites and see what Bessie Park is becoming an interesting location again, to see if we wanna start looking at some newer docks there and some other stuff. The only other thing I have coming down the pike in a couple of years is we probably have to look at the old patrol boat that we have, but that's already in the capital plan. So
Any other questions?
No, pretty simple.
nothing too shocking.
Can I
Nope.
take care of that one?
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you have Article 16 you want to do on the annual? Or is it-
I don't even have, they never gave me numbers, so I'm not sure which number they are.
Oh,
Was that the?
I think the one with
Yep,
the
correct,
lease
I'm sorry, that was the lease for the car, and that's the same stuff for the interest.
Now the lease for the car, you say we have one more payment, is that
Yep,
correct?
there'll be one more payment next spring, I'll go for that one again, and then we're free and clear, we own everything for $1. So,
All right.
any questions on that one? Now you can go.
thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you very
You
much,
guys have a
Terry.
great night.
Next article up is Article 15, Ms. Sandy. You want to stay there? You
I'll
can.
stay here.
Good, you're really comfortable?
Is this annual?
Yes,
Okay.
and I believe this is just a rebalancing of your accounts.
Yes, this is the standard 10% set aside for 3 reserves and 5% set aside for admin. I'm estimating another $1 million worth of income from town interest and state contribution.
Any questions regarding this?
What is the state contribution percentage-wise?
It varies. Last year, with the $20 million influx to CPC for FY20, the interest rate was, the percent was 31.9. The year before, it was 24%, but they didn't have the extra money coming in, the extra 20 million. So it varies.
It also varies depending upon how many towns sign up for it, is that
Boston
correct?
now.
Boston's in there now, so as more and more towns sign up, there's less of the pie to come to us.
Well, when it first started, it was up in the 70s.
Well, when we first started it, we were getting 100% for several
Oh, yeah.
years. We were getting 100%, then it went down to 80-something and then whatever. But as I said, for FY20, right now, it's 31.9%. But I don't expect it to be a high in '21 because I don't expect the 20 million, I can't count on the $20 million additional funds being applied. I can't estimate on that. So that's what we did, $1 million again.
Sandy, as of the end of the fiscal year, how much money does CPC have, say, uncommitted?
Wait a second, I pulled that up, I have it.
Do you anticipate?
I anticipated the question, so okay. Now, FY19 or FY20?
Well, the year that just ended, that would be fiscal.
FY19?
1920, yeah.
At the end of FY19, now that we know all the money, This is the uncommitted, undesignated,
Yeah,
1.7 million at the end of FY '19.
okay.
Right now, we're looking at FY '20, the town surcharge and interest are estimated, but right now I'm looking at 1.3 undesignated, plus another 71, so I'm looking at, again, 2 million, not counting the reserves.
Yeah. Do you got a lot of requests,
No.
requests that you're reviewing, or, it's basically, right now, it's, we'll call free cash?
Well, it's right, honestly, we only have one, we had 2 grant requests for this spring town meeting. The clerk pulled her request for digitization, so we don't have it. All we have is $30,000 for the girls softball at Special Spring. So the annual is only our reserves, nothing else. We have nothing, I mean, we can't make up grants. If they don't come to us, there's not much we can. At one time, we used to do our own grants, but we pulled away from that. That's not our job.
What's happening with the onset band show?
They have the money, I don't know. They have the funds.
Yeah, I drive by there wondering when.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to go back to the people who made it was the town request and say what's happening with it. I mean, it's
Yeah, but
town property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have to go through the engineering study and all.
Yeah, I'm sure there has, I haven't seen, I wouldn't, unless an invoice is submitted to CPC, we don't have access to, or we don't know what's going on. I mean, we ask people to come in and give us an idea of what's happening, but it isn't that old of a project. When did we submit it?
It was a year ago.
Oh, let me see.
Last
This is
year.
another report.
Yeah,
The band shell was done in fall of '18. So a year and a half. So,
And that was 333,000. Is that correct?
yes, it was.
Yeah. That was-
I mean, but right now, we have projects that have been approved and not completed, $2.6 million that are set aside as committed, not counting Tremont Nail.
yeah, to the 2,595,463.
So, yes, there are projects out there, and just about most of them are being worked on one way or the other, and that's just it is.
Go back to 2002, how much money has been raised through this channel? Do you know?
I did that report for Dick Paulson, and I stopped doing it, so I don't have
I'm
it.
sorry.
I would have to, if you like to write down a number, I'll read them to you. Going back to 2005?
No, I don't.
I mean, I got 9 pages, I got 9 pages.
But I'm curious as to how much is.
He wanted you to do the work. You didn't want.
I mean, I can read you to you, but that, I think I put it in my annual report that goes into the town meeting, but I didn't bring a copy of last year's annual report that says how much we have collected since this started in 2002. It's substantial.
It'd be nice for the town to know, I mean.
Well, I think I put it in the annual report, in the town meeting report.
How about in Wareham Week? I'm serious, so people understand what an important vehicle this is for that town.
Yeah, you know, on that note, you know, seeing, I'm just gonna throw some numbers out there. If you've taken in $10 million and you've done $8 million in projects, not naming all the projects, but I think people,
Well,
something like that.
And
you know.
honestly, most of the projects have been on town-owned buildings.
Right. Yep.
Except for the acquisition of land. That, I think, has been our most, we put most money out for purchasing a property,
Open space.
open space. You know, but the roof on here, the roof on the auditorium, the air conditioning stuff over the multi-service center. I mean, we put a lot of money into town buildings.
Well, the onset beach house or the community center over there.
I don't think that was a lot of money, I think it was 250,000, 200,000, I don't consider that,
You haven't paid it all yet, though, right?
oh yeah.
For the building of the, is all that gone?
They've applied, they gave us an invoice for the work that's been done, and we reimbursed them for it,
Okay, but there's more to come for that building.
not from CPC.
Okay. So they've used up all of their,
They've used the money that was approved by town meeting, yes.
it's a good system.
Any other questions regarding that? We went far afield anyway. Okay, the next one is the softball fields.
Would you, okay, ask the questions. We have our person from this girls softball league here in case you have any questions of,
I think we'd appreciate just kind of break down the 30,000 a little bit more in detail. How
Okay.
you're going to spend it.
She has a
when
breakdown, and then I can
they
explain it.
applied for 440,000, and we denied some of their expenditures. They wanted money to repay the town-owned road. What's the name of the road? Starts with,
Katomet?
Katomet Road, which is full of potholes to get to the parking lot off Westfield. They wanted CPA money to repair that, and we said no. I sent a request to the town administrator if the potholes could be filled in, because it's town-owned property. They put an application in for catcher's gear, which is not allowed under the CPA, open space recreation, so we could not pay that. So what we have is the request was broken down into 4 components. $7,100 for a mower, and the estimate was for a Cub Cadet. And we did recommend that they look to see if they can get a better price someplace else, but that's the estimate they gave us on the quote on the attached. They wanted we're asking for $9,000 for 2 storage units to purchase them. Right now they're leasing them or renting them, and it's taking a lot of their cash. So by purchasing the 2 units they've been using, it's where they store their equipment.
What sort of units are they?
Let me
Are those
see.
C-vans?
It just says per unit. What are type, it's
Yeah,
just
they're
a
just
mobile.
there are 2 Voltran containers.
2,
Voltran containers.
those are C-vans, correct?
I don't know what that is.
Those are the cargo ship carriers?
Yes, yeah.
That
All right.
is-
That's okay. I didn't know the lingo.
The other one was $2,000 for a fence, a gate put into the fence. Right now, they have a fence around one of their fields, and the gate is not wide enough for emergency equipment to get into the field and on the field, so they want to install a gate that would be wide enough to take emergency equipment. Because they've had an injury on the field before, but could not get an ambulance into that person. So the $2,000 was for a gate to make it wider, correct?
Correct.
And the 4th component of the 30,000 was 11,900 for work on the actual fields, including the softball field mix and the installation of it. They were looking for some processed asphalt, which we denied for the public road. But that 11,009 would be for the softball mix and the applying it and rolling it and all that stuff that goes with putting it on there. It's a specific type of material that doesn't scratch as much if they fall down on it. There was something to do with.
Softer, plus it has a clay sand
Yeah,
dirt mixture for drainage.
which is strongly recommended for the infield. There is no grass in the infield of a softball field, so those 4 components make up the 30,000 that we authorized to put a grant in, article in for. Because we looked hard at the 40,000, could not come up with it, so we said, you can have 30.
Any questions?
How many girls use that field? You know?
Last year we had 101 girls,
All right.
so we're hoping for the same this year.
And how often do you have games and practices?
Starting the 2nd week in April pretty much every day, 7 days a week. Games are Tuesdays and Mondays and Wednesdays for the junior girls. Mondays and Wednesdays for the junior girls. Senior girls play Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Practices are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have a K-2 program also that we do for kindergartner through second grade girls. We have a nice little K-2 field that was built probably 4 years ago or so, 4 or 5 years ago. It's a kind of miniature field. So we do K through 8th grade. It's a lot of use. We also play in summer. We play in a summer league where we travel for summer, but we have home games and away games and practices during the summer. And then we have a fall league as well. So our numbers have gone down. That's why to lease the containers is starting to become a burden to us. Also, our tractor that we use to cut the grass is like 12 years old. It's falling apart. So to maintain our half, soccer has moved into the other half. So to maintain our half, we're asking for a new mower so we can weed whack and mow the grass. It's a pretty big area.
And we did ask, is it possible that the soccer and softball could share the same lawnmower and timing and commitments and who's playing when and where, and that wasn't doable. But we did ask the question whether or not it could be shared. But this is the third request that you have for the girls softball. So far, we've approved $37,000 for fencing around the playground, the softball field, $13,000 for bleachers. Yeah, so that this is the third request we have for this girls softball.
Jody?
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you for these. I mean, this is perfect. So you kind of anticipated this coming, or?
Well, no, I got a heads up.
I told them. No, I really do appreciate
No,
this.
we had the information, to just make sure I put it in my
Yeah,
folder
no,
when I came
I
to provide
appreciate
it.
that.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, you know, with your mower for $7,100, the brand you wanna buy, I don't know if I would go down that road. What do you want, like a 42 or 40?
At least a
6 inch?
48, and at
48.
least a 48 would be nice.
You gotta be careful with those, the warranties, because when you use them for commercial use, which I'm not sure you would be considered commercial, you're certainly not
Yeah.
residential,
Yeah.
warranties aren't covered.
Yeah.
You know, you could probably buy a little bit better brand and for less money. I mean, I bought a lot of mowers, I ran golf courses, so.
I've gotten three quotes, and that's the cheapest one that I've got so far, and that's.
Cheapest isn't always best.
Well, yeah, I know, well.
I understand what you're trying to do, I
Yeah.
don't want you to spend any more money than you have
Yeah.
to, but you don't wanna be 3 or 4 years down the road and have a piece of,
No.
you know, 'cause that's what people buy for their little lawns and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
not for,
Well, soccer had
It's gonna be electric in 4 years anyway.
well,
Soccer had purchased a Skag mower from a place in Bourne. I forget the name of it. I wasn't familiar with it, but
There's also Morrison's over in Plymouth,
Morrison's
which
in
has
Plymouth.
Skaggs.
Yeah. I did
boat
that.
guy?
That wasn't. Yeah, that's the name. Yeah, the boat guy. Yes. Yes. And we reached out to him, and his price was for a Skag mower was around 8,100. He was about $1,000 more for. I think his was a 52-inch though. His was a little larger. So we're not quite sure exactly which route we're gonna go. Like you said, you know, the maintenance falls on us. So
yeah.
something that's, you know, pretty easy to maintain. I mean, we'll cut the grounds once a week. It's just right now we're doing it with a Troy built, you know,
Home Depot.
Home Depot mower, yeah, and it's taking a beating, so.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not sitting there saying by top of the line, which in the industry Toro is, you know, by like a John Deere or something, you know, there's
Yeah.
John Deere up in Taunton there, Padula Brothers,
Yep,
you know, he's got some pretty good prices.
that's one of the, actually got a quote from them too, and they were a little higher. They were in the $8,800 range for a John Deere.
Yeah,
So those are the three places that we got quotes. The one in the Club Cadet was Norfolk Power in Carver.
yeah,
And then we went to the boat guy, and that's where the Skag mower, we got a quote on the Skag mower, and then Padula Brothers gave us a quote on a John Deere. So we have those three. She priced the one from Norfolk Power.
Is this a deck mower, are you getting a zero turn or?
It would be nice, yeah, because with the outfield fences, it's nice to be able to move pretty quickly, going around the fences. That was the first project that I wasn't president when, I was just an assistant coach when the outfield fences went in, the first CPC grant. And, you know, the fences have made an awesome, it's pretty much almost made the whole fields look so good. But with the fences in there, you need something that really, turns on a dime. It's nice makes it a lot quicker.
Yeah, but anyways, enough about lawnmowers, I could.
Yeah, well, well, Sandy had told me that, to try and get 3 quotes for everything, and we did. The only quote we didn't get 3 quotes for was for the infield work, because we have a father that's very well known in the league, in the organization, and we were able to talk with him, and I'm gonna donate some hours to help him out to reduce the labor cost. So maybe we can put a little more money into the mower, however it works, and
If you get the 30,000, it's 30,000 to put into your projects as you see. There's
Yeah.
nothing that says it has to be
So-
the breakout that we use to get the 30,000.
yeah, so if we
It's a
pay
project.
maybe,
Yeah,
if we
it's a
pay maybe
grant, it's a
1,000
grant.
more for the mower, we can get a good, a good one that will, maybe does not need so much maintenance or is a little better quality, but,
Yeah.
but we tried to get,
The person using it makes a big difference, how much
it'll probably be.
use it's gonna take.
It'll probably be me. A lot of it falls on our board members. And, there's about 4 of us that put the most hours into the fields and into everything. My wife's the secretary, I'm the president, our vice president and treasurer, us 4 pretty much put the most hours in, so
Yeah.
between us 3, not my wife, she doesn't mow, but between us 3, the president and the treasurer, and we'll take turns, cutting the place, and we usually have to do all the repairs ourselves as well, so we're pretty careful with everything. We don't beat on anything, that's for sure.
Yeah, well.
Because the least we have to do is the more money we can put back in the league.
Good work. Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
are doing a great
it's a
job.
ton of work, I've built ball fields.
Thanks for your efforts.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
you're lucky, you got Reed right up the street here and a bunch of others that do all the mixes for you.
yeah, exactly.
If you do a 60/40, they'll mix it any way you want it.
Yeah,
And it's a lot cheaper if you pick it up yourself, so if you know somebody with a dump truck.
yep.
Thank you.
Thank
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be
Thank
quiet
you.
now.
Our-
Sorry,
our-
guys.
Our requesting for the kind of an itemization is just for an awareness
Yep.
of what you're intending to do with it. It's nothing that says, as Sandy says, it's a $30,000 grant.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's why she asked me to come here in case, if you gentlemen had any questions, we could explain it.
You might get some suggestions, like, you never know who's sitting in the room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
I used to coach kindergarten.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
That was more fun than the older one.
Yeah.
'Cause my granddaughter used to play regular with Brockton.
Yep.
And those kids, oh gosh, let that ice cream truck come and I don't know.
That's true, yeah. I'll probably my daughter's an 8th grader this year, so it's her last year in the program. But I'm gonna stay on, I might even help out with the K2 program next year, because that's our feeder program. We're actually trying to put more time into that program in the last couple of years, this year especially, because our numbers have been, like 4 years ago, we had 156 girls in the league. Now last year we had 101, we're hoping to get the same. But for some reason, maybe it's soccer, maybe it's lacrosse, I'm
Less
not
kids.
sure, but we're
Less kids.
yeah, we're losing.
It's everywhere, it's not you,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
So, but the kids that play love it, so we're trying to keep it going for them. We might even have to look for an interleague type of league in the next couple of years with Middleborough, with some of the closer towns, if our numbers keep going down, but we're trying to keep them.
It's a matter of
Trying to
survivability.
keep, yeah, Rochester plays with us, actually, we play with Rochester. They usually have 2 junior teams and 2 senior teams, so it's actually a nice, we play some games in Rochester and they come over to Wareham, they're actually in our spring league, but we call it Wareham Girls Softball, but Rochester does play with us, and it's actually really good right now because of our dwindling numbers. And their numbers are dwindling too, but between both of our towns, we make up a pretty good league, best we can for the girls anyway, try and make it up.
No covers on your ash can though.
On my trash cans?
Yeah, no covers allowed.
No?
No. Ask the Astros.
Oh, yeah, good one. I was gonna say, I need the cans when it rains. Actually, we got trash can, I told Sandy, we had trash cans stolen last year. I had to put chains on our trash cans.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it's very believable,
Yeah,
David, you have a question?
unfortunately.
we've had a little bit of a tough time over there, but last year was actually pretty good with we had the least vandalism last year that we've had in the past few years, so.
Good. Are you working with the schools on this also? Do you have any interaction with the schools?
We do, with the, you mean, with the high school we do, yep. The high school, actually, we help with the high school cleanup for their softball field, for the high school field, their field cleanup day. They actually, Becky Pratt is the coach, she started coaching last year. She actually, and before that we did as well. I didn't have much interaction. This will be my 3rd year as president, so. But they actually come to our opening day. We have a big opening day celebration for the kids. April 25th is this year's opening day, so if any of you like to stop by, you're more than welcome. We put on a really nice day for the girls. It's a fundraising day for us as well. We do raffles, baskets. We actually have some sponsors that come to the fields, that donate some money to us. We used to have more donors, but, you know, as with numbers going down, fundraising kind of seems to
Becomes
get
difficult.
harder every year, yeah.
Well, I
But
would hope-
we try, we do our solid fundraisers, but, yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, we helped high school, and then actually she donates, well, doesn't donate, but she gives us volunteers from her team for our opening day. And they help out with with various things throughout the day, face painting and handing out flyers and things like that.
I would hope that you'd be able to incorporate the grade schools in this too, in the middle school, because it's a great function for the kids.
Yeah, well, the middle school,
They can do it.
plays, I mean, it goes through 8th grade.
Mhm.
So, the girls that are playing are already involved in it. We send out flyers through the schools to
Good.
promote our league.
Good.
We send out flyers and the middle school is good about it. We actually have put flyers out with Deacon's. We do that every year. We put something in the Wareham Week like all the leagues do in town. So, but yeah, we work with the schools.
Good.
So,
Good. Well, thank you for all you're doing.
no, you're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anything else, John? No? Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandy.
I'm staying.
You're gonna stay? Okay.
I'm gonna listen to Judy.
Well,
Next
thank you very
article.
much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. You guys all have a good night. Thank you,
Thank
Sandy.
you.
I appreciate
Have a
it.
good year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Can you hang on a second?
Yep.
The chief of police where I came from I actually coached. And now she's the chief and the high school coaches, she coaches softball at the high school now.
Oh,
You know Donna McNamara, you know the McNamara family.
Yeah,
Donna,
That is an amazing drop of 30% in 5 years. So
yeah.
it's not unusual, it's everywhere, every sport. And there's so many sports now.
yep, it's a shame though.
Yeah, since Title
You know, I
IX.
see boys starting lacrosse.
But
Which
these
is a
girls are also playing in the winter. They play inside. They go and practice in the winter. It's just
Really?
And some of the
good
older
league.
girls can be avid at it. I mean, they
Oh,
are.
yeah.
My granddaughter, when she got into high school and her teammates were in the same area with her, oh my gosh. She's out there with short sleeve shirts and shorts on, and we're there with our winter coats on. Aren't you cold? No, I wasn't. What do you mean cold? Okay, the next item on our agenda is the articles for the charter change.
I have with me Bob Fitchenmeyer, and I don't think I want to move, do I?
Excuse me?
I don't think I want to move up there, do I?
Oh, you're fine.
Okay,
You raised up and the chair got cold, so you can warm it up all over again.
okay, thank you. If it's okay with you, I'd like to start with Article 18,
Certainly.
which is the charter amendment to add the word sewer commissioners. A little bit of background. This Charter Review Committee is supposed to be appointed every year ending in 9 and report to the town meeting, the spring town meeting, and every year ending in 0. There was some feeling on the current Board of Selectmen that lay people didn't know what they were talking about. And so by the time the appointments enough to have a committee were made, our first meeting was November 4th of 2019. We've met every Monday night with the exception of the Monday holidays, and I have to say that we have done an enormous amount of work in that period of time. So we have 3 articles that we wanted to have on the Springtown meeting. We have one that we are going to ask to have go on the special Springtown meeting. And we are asking the selectmen to continue our appointment, which ends in May of 2020, to the end of the town meeting in October of 2020, because we have recommendations that they're substantial. We will have a report as required for the Springtown meeting, but our work, it couldn't possibly have been done by the time frame that we were allotted. Okay. Article 18, Charter Amendment to add the sewer commissioners. What happened was the sewer commissioners were created as elected officials, and they just never ended up in the elected officials section of the charter, which is section 3-1A. So in the charter itself, after the words Board of Assessors, we are asking that the word sewer commissioners be incorporated. They are in fact elected officials. It was, I wouldn't call it a scrivener's error, it's simply an oversight that it never got edited correctly. So that's, unless you have any questions about that one's a pretty easy one.
Any questions, gentlemen? There being none.
Does this have to be
Yes,
approved by the state?
yes,
Okay,
and that's part of my motion.
that's okay, I just wanted to ask, no problem.
I move that the town authorize the Board of Selectmen to petition Massachusetts legislature for special legislation to amend the Wareham Home Rule Charter, section 3-1A, by adding the word sewer commissioners after the words of Board of Assessors. So yes, all 3 of our charter changes need to be approved.
Judy, now, does this mean that all of our elected officials are now listed?
Yes,
In the
they are.
charter?
In section 3-1A, they are listed correctly. Or they will be when we
finish this?
Yes,
This was the only one missing.
the only one missing.
Okay.
All right, very good.
And the only one, there aren't any that don't belong there. That's the other side of that question, I guess.
I've done an awful lot of writing, and even if you have 3 people edit your work, it could still have been missing.
Oh, yes.
You
Yeah.
just get the same mindset and
Yeah,
just keep going.
yeah, and we have 8 members of a 9-member board, and I have to say, we have 2 of the best copy editors that I've ever met, and I am picky. So if I think they're good, they're
You have a
bloody
reputation,
good.
Judy.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So, any other questions on that one? No.
There being none, let's move on to the next one. You want to shoot?
I'll go for Article 19, the charter amendment to delete the road commissioners. The article to delete the road commissioners came up because the road commissioners as a separate board is in the charter itself. The charter should mention the function and functionality of the town, not be listing specific boards and commissions. They belong in the bylaws or some other place, but they do not belong in the charter as boards, okay? So we decided that we would recommend that they become a part of the bylaws, and we actually had a bylaw amendment written so that we would have, move it out of section 3.9 of the charter, but create a bylaw that created the road commissioners in the proper place, okay? So I get to the selectmen's meeting, and this had all been discussed with town council, and I had all of the right verbiage, and I get to the selectmen's meeting, and I get told, no, we don't want to hear the second one of your articles, because we think that we should be the road commissioners again. Well, the history of the road commissioners, it was recommended to be approved by a previous charter review committee in an effort to shift the responsibilities of the duties of the selectmen to others. Partially because the duties weren't being dutied, okay? So that charter review committee thought it was doing the right thing, but because of the general laws saying that selectmen are in fact the road commissioners, it had to stay where it was put to begin with, okay? So I had a second article, and they told me that they wouldn't put it on the thing because they really would like to have the road commissioners be the Board of Selectmen, which is what the general laws call for. I don't have an argument with that. I sit on the road commissioners. I have to say that in the 5 meetings I have been to, there has been one item on the agenda for 4 months, and it has not been acted on. There's another recommendation that has been on for the 5 months that I've been there, and it's not been acted on. The town planner and the director of assessing decided that they couldn't wait for monthly meetings to get stuff done, like the new road layouts or the street numbering, that kind of thing. So they wrote a policy together about, you know, when a new development comes in, or for instance, numbering Toby Road was done backwards, okay? And this happened before. So there's now real communication between the planning department and the assessors in terms of getting this stuff done, the day-to-day stuff done on a timely basis. That doesn't take any power away from the Board of Selectmen, who still get to name roads and, you know, that kind of thing. But the day-to-day grunt work can't wait a month in many cases, because you've got a developer or you have, you know, people looking to finish up their addresses for mail or whatever. So we think it makes sense.
When will they go away? At the town meeting or at the passage?
After the passage of the legislature.
What kind of severance package are they gonna get?
Well, that's a really good question, because they don't provide food in those meetings. All they do is provide aggravation.
I didn't see food here either.
No, I know. The committee is made up of 7 members. 3 of them are full-time town employees. It is an hour and a half once a month out of these 3 times very busy men that can, in our opinion, be spent better. The way to solve, well, the selectmen didn't get it done, is every 4th Tuesday, put road stuff on the agenda. That's a simple fix, as opposed to creating another wheel in the cog of government. It just doesn't make sense to me. Questions? And
Sounds good to me.
the majority of the members, because I told the members that I had tried to do it one way and been sandbagged into making it go back to the Board of Selectmen. And really, to a man, because I'm the only woman there, they were all in favor of giving it back to the selectmen. There's some feeling, but it's...
Do you feel that'll get the work done on a more timely basis?
Yes, I do. Yep, because the 3 full-time people are the police chief, the real police chief, not acting anymore, director of municipal maintenance, and the planning director. But again, planning is already working with assessing. Those are the people who
Actually do it.
see stuff on a daily basis that, you know, we don't know about unless you're on one of those committees. So yes, I think it'll managed to get the day-to-day work done in a more, it's already getting done better because of their inter-Nicene agreement, if you will.
You're just trying to formalize the process.
Yes, yeah.
Any questions? No, because I think this building is fraught with such problems such as that.
Yeah, we know. Okay, I'll go to Article 17, the Charter Amendment, the appointed town clerk. Now, I did send Mr. Pigeon a revised,
And we have it.
okay, good. The town of Fairhaven decided in 2018 that it should look at whether its town clerk should be appointed. It had been elected since 1882 or something like that. So they had a report of the town clerk study committee. That report is a brilliant piece of work, and it made all of the right arguments for why a town clerk should be appointed, not elected. I have regurgitated most of those reasons in what I have given you. Basically, the town clerk's function is a secretarial administrative function. It sets no policy, the town clerk, sets no policy at all, okay? He or she has to know the laws, has to administer the laws, but there is no, direct responsibility to your constituents to do anything other than follow the law. The town collector was originally in this town an elected position, and that changed in 2001, 2, 3, and 4 because it became apparent that if you're the collector treasurer of a town, you should know municipal accounting, you should know treasury recommendations, you should know how to, write a bond issue, you should have connections in the banking world, that kind of thing. If you are elected, all you have to do is get the right number of votes. And it doesn't mean that you are qualified to do the job. I'm not making comments on any previous office holder at all. I'm simply stating the facts. An appointed position would mean that there would be a bigger pool of applicants because you wouldn't have to live in Wareham. You could live in Carver, you could live in wherever. If your credentials were the best fit for the job, you would be appointed, hopefully. It is a position that requires a considerable amount of expertise and subject knowledge, as well as ability to use modern technology, like the internet, like the things that bring the current form of government to the people. The clerk had written an article for digitization of all of the town clerk's records, and she pulled it because she recognized that, pulled it for the spring meeting, because she recognized that she didn't really have a hold on how many pieces of paper in this building need to be photocopied, digitized, and available to the public. In order for you to go look at a record in 1792 or whatever, you have to go to the clerk's office. Some of the papers you shouldn't touch. You will destroy them, okay? We have not had an air-conditioned building. Our vaults are not temperature controlled, and many of the pieces of paper that relate to the history of this town and are important to the history of this town are friable. They will be lost unless digitization says it's time, comes to pass. Some people believe that the clerk should be a town resident, and therefore it should be an elected position, or the other way around. And the argument that Fairhaven made was, well, if you elect somebody who doesn't know what he or she is doing, you have two options. You can wait until the next election and vote him or her out, or you can recall him or her. Well, we've lived through one recall in this town, and we do not need to go through it again, ever again. It's very expensive, it's very divisive. And waiting 3 years to replace somebody who doesn't have to even go to work, because that's,
No,
you know,
they're
elected official.
They-
That's right, they can do
they
whatever
report
they
to no
want,
one.
right. If you make an appointed position, it also cleans up the structure of the government, so that the town clerk would be appointed by the town administrator, and the selectman would have the 15 days to either say yes or no, or simply let it go. So the people are in fact being represented because the selectmen have the ultimate power to veto that appointment made by, recommendation and appointment made by the town administrator. We have many department heads in this town who are administrative department heads. Municipal maintenance, director of assessing, planning. They are specialized skills that need to be filled by a person who has those skills. One other interesting fact, if you are an elected official and you serve, at Fairhaven, she's served for like 20 years or something. If you get voted out of office, you get nothing. You do not get unemployment because you're an elected official, okay? So if somebody here were an appointed person and ran into trouble and was removed, he or she would be eligible for unemployment, okay?
Or retirement.
Or retirement, one or the other. It also means that the chain of command of who works in the office for the individual clearly fall under the aegis of the town administrator. It makes for a cleaner, more modernized government.
Also, it has a specific job description.
Absolutely.
As you point out that the person comes with certain skills, the job description requires specific skills
Right.
to be fulfilled. And
Right.
I always felt there's a number of certifications that are required. As you point out, the elected official, if she doesn't want to go, he or she doesn't want to go and learn them, you have to wait 3 years, and your documents are not certified.
Right. So, as an aside, unfortunately, Fairhaven had a majority of the members, and you can find this study online, by the way, majority of their members thought it was a really great idea. Got to town meeting, and it was defeated. It was defeated by people who said, well, you know, it needs to be a town resident. It's the last touch of the government that has to do with the people. I don't buy that argument. I don't believe Mr. Fitchenmeyer buys that argument. In fact, we took a vote on this on January 6th, and the board, the Charter Review Committee, recommended unanimously to the town meeting that it become an appointed position. One of the members recanted his or her position 2 weeks later, but the vote is in the record of the town hall in the town clerk's office, that it was a unanimous vote to recommend that. Am I correct, Mr. Fitchenmeyer?
That's correct.
So unfortunately, Fairhaven didn't modernize its government. My hope is that Wareham will continue in the modernization of the government by hiring experienced, knowledgeable, and skilled people. The current town clerk would serve through her elected position, elected term, and then she would be eligible to apply for the job. Well, she's been a town clerk in other places, or assistant town clerk, so it's very likely that she would be a high-ranking candidate, if not the highest-ranking candidate. She endorses this article 100%.
Having run organizations, even you have, as you point out, when you have a single individual that you have no authority over, it's rather disruptive to try to accomplish what you need to do. And the people who are in that office have to have a line of command they can follow.
Right. And it's a split line of command today. So, any other questions?
Can I read that, Judy?
Which?
That behavior report?
Give them a few minutes, he'll get it.
Yeah. And as I say, they did not do what I would have hoped they would do. I just would like to pass this piece of paper around. This is section 2.4 of the charter, as the Charter Review Committee is going to be recommending it to the October town meeting. This is section This is section 2.4, our way. This is section 2.4, the current way. Which is easier? Which one of you would prefer to read this as opposed to this? The government should be available to the people. It should be comprehensive. It should be concise. So we are going to be recommending format changes across the board. But we're not ready to do that yet. So again, you can see that we've made bullet items. We also have recommended that all of these nasty little things in bold, that they go away. They're not part of the charter, and to me, they're confusing. We are going to create a history page at the end of the charter to tell you what changes were made, when they were made, and why they were made. So we will be taking these notes. They will not be part of the charter, they will be an appendix.
Yeah, they're misleading.
They are very misleading. We also are removing both the minority report, it will remain in historical records, and we are removing the primary report from the original 1977 adoption of this document. Doesn't make any sense. We will be recreating the, what do you call it? Index, because some of these sections don't exist anymore. And the entire summary of the document is going to be rewritten because we're finding, it says, well, the blah, blah, blah. Well, the blah, blah, blah left, 15 years ago. So it's been an exercise in, are you kidding me? And as I say, this is for the old way, or the current way.
Yeah.
The other thing that we found really distressing, we got to our first meeting, and I had this copy, and somebody had a more current copy. They both were on the town website, but under different tabs. Well, you can imagine what kind of angst that caused.
Yes.
Big time.
I remember when you went through that issue,
It's like, are you kidding me?
because no one could determine which one was the more current one.
Right. And, if half my members came to the meeting with the new one, we're all going, where'd you get that? And even the town IT guy, Matt Underhill, couldn't really explain why there were two versions. Well, there needs to be information available to the public to run the government. They need to understand it, and this is not understandable, in my opinion.
I remember you were even questioning whether the latest one you had was accurate.
Yes. One of
I've
the
gone
other,
through a charter change,
yeah,
and the charter, yes, it contained an awful lot of language that had nothing to do but with the transition from the old to the new,
Right.
and it was still there several years later.
right, exactly. And that, I can segue right into the article that we are asking the selectmen to put on the special. Even though it's not on your agenda, I don't want to come back, not that you're not nice people, but, I can explain it right now. So it is to see if the board will authorize the legislature to omit section 4-5 of the additional town administrator appointments by striking it in its entirety. The reason for that is that that section of the charter was created to cover the transition from elected collector to appointed collector treasurer. It took from April of 2001 through April of 2004 to accomplish all of that. And the section that we are asking to be removed covered, it was belt and suspenders to make sure that it was getting done right, that nobody lost their job, because of a typo or something like that. The section simply isn't appropriate today because we now have a director of finance, and the job description is managed by the Human Resources Department. So, Kelly, I did send you everything.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
I believe.
If Kelly has it, it's okay.
Yeah. So the selectmen have agreed to put it on their agenda, and I talked with a couple of them, and they don't have a problem with putting it on the warrant.
So we're preempting them, and you're asking for a waiver for us?
No, I'm asking you to listen to me explain something that I would have to explain in 2 weeks, because they told me I don't even have to go to see them to explain this to them, because it's so simple. It's getting rid of something that doesn't belong there anymore.
I don't believe there's any objection, is there, gentlemen? Would you like to see Judy again? She's very sociable,
I'd
amiable
like
person.
to see Judy again,
You
but,
would? Okay.
yes. But not necessarily for this.
I have a question.
Yes.
Judy, will we have any problems with, even though it says, that the elected clerk that we have now, her term ends, do you know when the term ends?
She just was elected, so
Right.
it's a 3-year term.
It's a 3-year term.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
You're doing this, before her term is up. Is that gonna become a problem where this rule comes in and now that it says that she's appointed, will the town have to appoint her even though she was elected?
No.
Does her elective position?
No, that's
Because
covered.
it seems like when I read, it seems like the position now is being eliminated by being elected, but she is elected. So the time frame for her being elected to when you wanted to be appointed, there's a overlap of conflict there. And I didn't know if that would run into, a problem of legality.
There's
No.
language
I see
that
what
you-
it says, I see what it says in there.
You-
I
okay, just wanna make sure you saw
read
that.
that,
Yeah.
I read that, but, the state could look at it differently too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It has been, Rich Bowen, because I asked the same question about the sewer commissioners. Rich Bowen, town council, said there's no problem at all,
Well, the
because,
sewer commission is different, you're just adding in a word. This is something that you're actually changing from,
no, I'm sorry, road commissioners,
okay, well, the road,
yeah.
our road commissioners weren't elected either. They were appointed. So you're taking an elective position where someone is elected already, and she has a term in front of her. And you're changing it to a non-elected position. So basically, you're taking away her position. Well, I
understand
you know what I'm
you're
trying to
saying.
get at?
Yes, I do.
I just want to know if that would be a conflict with the state.
A person who is elected,
Right.
they have to
Serve.
serve out their term before any changes can be made.
Well, but we're making the change before her
Doesn't make
term
any
is up.
difference. Once
We are-
you're elected for that term.
So the petition to the legislature,
It's a little
Dominic,
gray area.
well, it's gonna say, to amend the charter to change from elected to appointed effective, whatever that date is.
But that's not in here.
I understand that, but I don't write the
Okay,
selectmen's.
okay, that's what I was getting at. I was wondering
And it's
if
a very
if
good
it come in effect as her term ends, with
Right.
whatever date becomes, then I don't think you have an overlap of
Right.
what you're trying to do, that's all.
But I can't write that.
Okay.
That has to come from the selectmen, and they believe very strongly that the position should
Yeah,
be.
I'm gonna say the state will balk at it, but that's just my opinion.
Good
Well,
point.
they're acting,
A third of the town clerks in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Oh, no, I agree
are
with what you're trying to do. It's a
Yeah.
great idea. I'm just worried about the time conflict, that's all. It's the only thing I was
By
gonna
the
say.
time it gets done, it'll be 6 to 8 months, and she'll be more than halfway through her term.
Okay. Well,
and if it's an issue, we can always amend it.
Well, I was gonna say,
Just
if
put
the
the date
state
in.
turns it down, then you have to bring it back up again, that's all.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
They are
So
acting
I
on
wanted to
advice of
bring it up.
council.
All right.
So
But
maybe
again-
we can charge him.
Because, when you read this, the job description, how can you elect someone that might not even have anywhere near the qualifications? That's,
But we-
now that you think about what we did,
We do.
It's actually
You've done it
sad.
pretty high up in this country.
I know, but
The history of the town of Wareham,
Crazy.
the prior clerks, one was a retired school teacher who knew how to grade students. Another one was a retired newspaper writer who,
Basically, they
Was
got in and
not-
had to learn as they went along, that's
Right.
crazy.
it is crazy. It might have been fine 50 years ago. It's not fine today. It's costing money, time, effort, and duplication. It's crazy.
You need to fill that job description. I
And-
agree,
Yeah,
I agree.
In a perfect world, you get the assistant town clerk who might get the qualifications over time, that it could be a seamless, they apply for the job, but it could be a seamless
right.
change, you know,
Right.
it's.
And I will tell you that the person who
Thank you.
has told us she's going to stand up at town meeting is the retired town clerk. She's vehemently opposed to this for all of the reasons that I have knocked down, hopefully. But again, she, at a meeting on January 6th, voted to make it an appointed position. Is that correct, Mr. Fitchenbauer? Yes,
Yes.
dear.
But she did recant that after, if I remember right.
She
Yeah,
did.
she did.
Right.
And Judy, you referred to her as retired, but if she was elected, there is no retirement.
That's correct. She chose not to run. Right. Her husband retired from his job, full-time job, and they decided that they would, you know, lead a town-free
Well,
life.
you made a point earlier that as an elected position, you have no retirement.
Right. No, that's correct. You have no retirement, you have no unemployment benefits. In today's world, those are things that make the difference between being able to live the American dream or not.
There really is an American dream?
Being able to retire.
You hang out with Fitchmeyer, do you?
I do.
What is
That's it.
retirement?
What is
We've discussed that
retirement? Thank you.
before.
Any other questions? Very good, thank you very much, Judy.
For those of you who aren't speed readers, you can just type in on Google the final report of the town clerk study committee, and I also, Bernie, forwarded to you the 2 links about the newspaper coverage of the town meeting where this was defeated,
Okay.
okay? And it was defeated for emotional reasons, in my opinion, as opposed to logical reasons.
Well, having been in business and then working with government as I do, government is very emotional, whereas business can be very matter of fact.
And we are in fact a business.
Well, we are,
We are.
supposedly, but we don't run like a business.
Many parts of us
We
don't.
try,
I
like
mean,
you did,
but,
we try.
but if you think about things like our bond rating, which improved, you think about what it costs to run a town, you know, and our unfunded liabilities. I mean, there's just so much that's different from 50 years ago. It has to be more, there has to be more centralized authority to manage the stuff that goes on. And you have to have really good department heads that you rely on to be, you know,
Indeed. Anything else, gentlemen? As far as, we have another meeting next Wednesday, excuse me, we have a lineup already. Dutch will be in for Upper Cape. And we have, the school committee will be in. They'll have a couple articles. I was talking with Kim today, and she may have 1 or 2 more coming in. The one that they have is accumulation of the old articles. And last time they attempted to do that, they didn't give us any definitive objectives, what they were going to do with the money, and that's why we rejected it. And this time they're specific with what they need to do it. Part of it is the HVAC at the middle and high school and the roof. And that's primarily repair, not replace, which he has. And there was a number of issues they're gonna be bringing up also Thursday night, tomorrow night, at their own meeting, at the school committee meeting. They're not through with the budget yet, and it's a possibility, they're even asking to put more money back into their budget, the school committee is, And then the superintendent is gonna have to negotiate or talk back and forth with them, how we're gonna do certain things and prioritize. Because I asked him to provide me with the final line for each of the principal accounts over in schools. And I said, I just want the math to work out to find, to whatever we're appropriating, and they can add up the list, because we have that in the report. We only do a bottom line, but someone's bound to say the math doesn't work. And so she said, she's working on that, but it's still a work in progress. And as far as the budget revenues are concerned, I was meeting with Derek and Kim this afternoon, and there's still maybe a little adjustment going on. By adjustment means that some organization, like one of them, I think the medical providers, they may be coming in with a different percentage, so that may make a small adjustment. It's
Nothing
slight,
major though?
nothing major, but I just want the math to work. Someone's bound, if you know, you fudge your numbers,
Oh, yeah,
someone's
you
really
can't.
bound to ask
Yeah,
the
they'll find
question.
it, yep.
Is there anything else that you gentlemen would like to see or do with respect to the budget? We'll also may or may not have a meeting with the building committee with Jeff Swift, the chairman. There's something else that Derek and I are trying to figure out and perhaps handle in a different approach and accomplish everything that we want to accomplish. I've asked Jerry here if he may take an interest in the financial side of the building committee, again, the Degas Building Committee, as I call it. Not that there's anything going on, or I suspect it, but it's just a better understanding from Jerry's background. Perhaps he can explain it to me a little better in spite of all the years. Is there anything on the articles that you've seen thus far that you want any additional information in? See the resounding?
Just want to ask you showed me that what the school actually gets, what they actually spend because of grants and stuff. Has that ever been brought up? I mean, that's just, you blew me away with that number. I mean,
The only place that, Don, the only place you ever see it
Yeah.
is where I showed you in the audited financials, okay, where the auditors actually, when you say, part of the budget for the town includes school stuff, includes school income, you know, but also expenses. So if you took that out of the town and brought it all over to the school, the income and the expenses, as well as the grants, cafeteria, you know, you would find that the school is in over, as it shows in the audited financials, over $50 million.
no. That should be brought up when they bring their budget in, because, you know, they keep squawking for more money, yet they say we're only giving them such and such money. But in reality, it's almost another third, I mean, 2/3, no, it's almost another third more
Yeah.
than what they're actually getting, and they're not telling nobody about that. The general public, I mean, the general public out there, when you go to those meetings, is saying, well, you know, you only give them whatever, 29 million to do all this, and how can they run the school? But they're using 50 million. And it makes the town look bad, because they say we're not trying to fund the school, but yet they get all that money, and no one's aware of this.
I don't know if you
I was
recall
blown away by that number.
When I came up here for the Senior Council on Aging a couple of years ago, and I brought up that the schools get about 2/3 of the money and the
Yeah.
town gets about 1/3, and you people said, no, that's not true, it's very true.
Well, you
And
gotta
that's most towns.
No,
No, when you take all the money,
put in,
all the
put
grants
in
and
the
stuff.
fire departments and put in what it takes to run the town. Make that the high number, make
You know,
that the
but-
total number, and consider the share of that.
But
Well,
they get their fair share.
We did part of it last year, because for the first time, I think in the appendix and the information, we showed what the food services, because we never see that budget, because it's subsidized totally by grants. And even their salary, well, monies for their salaries come out of it, but the benefits that they get come over on the municipal side. But as Jerry pointed out, as he was pointing out
almost
to Don,
$18 million.
and
That's
that
not a
figure
small
only,
number, that people don't even think, $18 million!
that figure only
That's
shows
huge.
in our audit.
Yeah, you think it's 50-50, but it's not.
I mean,
Very close.
No,
What, I know that they don't let you talk in the school committee, but I think that should be brought up. I mean, I'm sorry, I'd bring that up in a heartbeat. I know they'd boo me and yell at me and throw tomatoes, but I'd bring it up. I don't care.
I would suggest that the school committee members know well about it.
And they do, but they not, the general public doesn't.
I don't think this school.
That's
does.
the key. That's who's looking at our figures. That's who's saying we're not spending enough on the schools.
That would require a whole new way of presenting the budget at town.
And I think it should be brought up. I don't know how to do
That
it.
would be
No,
called
but-
transparency.
Yeah, I can,
Thank you, that's the right word. Transparency. They need to be more transparent.
I can
on what
assure
they
you
got.
there will be information covering that in this year's report.
Thank you. I'll be glad to put my name against it. I don't care what they think.
Oh, it's astounding when you
Yeah,
think of it.
I was,
Well, you gotta go to all of the grants then. You gotta, there's a.
Jerry, he showed me the number.
Yeah,
Let
but
him
the
show you
grant,
that
I mean, the
number.
police department gets grants and.
No, and that's all well and good. I understand there's a lot of that, but
So
not
it's
as much as
grants,
the
and then
schools.
those grants aren't taken out of the taxpayer directly, they're.
But you're still paying, you pay federal taxes? You're
I
still coming out of
understand,
your
I
pocket?
understand that.
All that shows
It
up in
just
our
isn't-
audit.
Grant
It
money is
goes-
still tax money.
It's
That's
around
right.
the horn.
Yeah, it still shows up in our audit.
Yep.
That's a part of our audit report. 3 pages, the 3 books we get.
But
From our
no
audit,
number
that's-
is anywhere near what
It's
the
just
school
coming up
gets.
soon, you asked
The
Eric.
police, anybody,
It should be out now.
all
because
those
you
grants
need it
don't come
for
close.
one
It's
for
2/3,
the-
it's
for
another
the bond.
third.
Remember, they're gonna go.
It was
He
almost
has to
$18
sign
million
it.
they got
Should
to.
happen.
That got me boiling.
He just got back from vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what, I don't know if that number
We'll give him
shows,
this afternoon.
but we gave him like 29
50%
He
million.
would have given it to me if he had it.
No, I understand that, but
He
the
may
budget was
have it, which
29
is
million
hasn't got
from the
to
town.
himself yet.
Or have
They got
drafts.
50 million they spent.
Drafts.
He would have drafts, yeah, I would suspect.
That's another $21 million, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Is there anything else, gentlemen?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
On a journey?
There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you very much.
That meeting next Wednesday, Bernie?